Alright, what's good guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be having a conversation with Hazel, who rescued her first greyhound a few years ago. Her name is Luna, and you'll see some footage overlaid this video so you can get a closer look at her. She's absolutely adorable, but what we're going to do is break this video down into a few different segments, so hopefully we can cover all topics of conversation. So if you guys are here looking for any information about rescuing a greyhound, then maybe we can get the answers out of Hazel today during this convo. So what the video is going to look like is a pre-adoption phase, the adoption process, post-adoption experience, daily life with a greyhound, and then reflections, and maybe you can give us some advice. So what inspired you in the first place to rescue a greyhound?
So I was initially actually looking for a whippet. I wanted to rescue a whippet because
They're the best.
that's what I just wanted to do. Yeah, I just wanted to offer a whippet that needed a home. So yeah, and they were the best in my eyes at the time. Like I just loved whippets. But actually turns out it's actually quite hard to rescue a whippet. There's long waiting lists. So I mean, it's good for them. It's good for the breed. A lot of people love whippets. A lot of people know about the breed or want to, have one. So yeah, I think I was on a waiting list for a whippet, maybe 2 years, a year and a half. More like a year and a half, I think. And one didn't come up that fit my sort of household needs and things like that. So actually my friend then told me about a greyhound who needed a home. Her friend was fostering her, and my friend said, "Well, are you interested in meeting her?" And I said, "Yes." Obviously. And it all went from there. Really, it was super quick. I think I set up a meet with the greyhound probably a week or two after that conversation, and then a week or two after that I went to pick her up.
And I was actually with you
to pick her
when you
up.
went to see her for the first time as well, I think.
There was two visits.
At the kennel thing. What was your first impressions of her when you first laid your eyes on her?
She was super nervous, really sweet, really delicate. Someone needs to look after this sweet, innocent, delicate thing. For a greyhound, greyhounds are typically quite big as a dog, but for a greyhound standard, she was quite small for a greyhound. She's about 24 to 25 kg, which, is a very small greyhound size. A lot bigger than a whippet, but yeah. Sorry, we went off on a tangent.
No, that's okay. I was just about to move on to the next question, and that was about the adoption process. Earlier on you said that it all happened quite quickly, but what did that process look like? Did you have to go and look at her? Did they interview you? What sort of questions did they ask? What was that process like?
So as I say, there were two visits to the kennels. The first visit was the initial meet,
And that was compulsory?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So I went to obviously meet Luna, but if you wanted to just view a load of greyhounds, that meet would include viewing a load of different greyhounds. But for me, I went specifically to meet Luna, who at the time was actually called Vicky, and that was quite funny because I was just like, that is not That's not a good name for it.
Vicky
no.
the Greyhound, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she's definitely a Luna. So I changed that real quick.
To Looney Manini.
To Looney Manini. So yeah. Anyway, rewind. So the first meet involved, meeting her. I went to sit down in a little room with Luna. And Luna was with her foster carers at the time, and there was they call them Greyhound homers. So the people that look after, I think that there's a few people that are look after certain dogs, and they've all got.
And is that because the kennels are so busy? And they need to find homes for the meantime.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there are a lot of dogs, a lot of greyhounds that need homes, and they all are. Well, they all work differently. There's lots of different rescues out there. The rescue I went with was called the Greyhound Trust, and they had. I think what their sort of setup is that they have several homers and they all look after like a set amount of dogs, something like that. So anyway, I was in a room with Luna's 2 foster carers and Luna's homer. And yeah, it was quite casual, sort of sit down chat. It did feel like an interview, absolutely, because obviously they need to get a gist, a vibe of who I am, and
they're
how
not
much.
just going to give a dog to anybody. Yeah,
no way. Yeah, so yeah, they wanted to find out things like, have I ever had a dog before? Actually, this process starts initially with me filming out a homer form. So wanting to adopt a Greyhound form, you fill that out, you send it to them, they read through the questions that they've asked you, and if you then qualify, then they invite you to meet the Greyhound or the Greyhounds that they have on offer. So once you get to the stage of the meeting the Greyhound, you end up in the room, and they kind of go through those questions again, but in more depth. So it's things like, have you ever had a dog before? Talk to me about the dogs you've had before. If there was a situation.
If you had kids, other pets.
Yeah, like an altercation or anything like that with a dog. Like, how would you deal with behavioural issues and things like this, and say there was a specific issue, and they with it was
like a little test to see
absolutely
what you would come up with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there were lots of questions as to what I would say competency questions, so which I think is really, really important. I don't think these dogs have already been through quite a life.
They're fragile now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Especially that one.
Yeah, very. They don't want to be just sort of passing them out to any old person. So I do think it's really important to have these sorts of questions. Absolutely. What other questions were there? Little background questions like my life and, do I work from home? Do I work in an office, what's that set up like? Do I leave the house, regularly? How long do I leave the house for?
Yeah, so by the sounds of it, they ask you a series of quite generalised questions and then a series of questions that are more like a test to see how you would handle a certain situation with the dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they ask you questions about, the Greyhound as a breed and why do you want a Greyhound and all of that. So then there's that. And then what else?
That's fine. Just if you can remember any sort of challenges or surprises during that process, if any, what were they? Was there any point you doubted whether or not you were going to be allowed to, you know, take Luna home or anything like that? Or was it just quite easy?
Yeah, so yes. Obviously coming into this, like I'd had dogs before, but I'd never adopted a dog before. And so I knew already that adopting a dog isn't there's a lot of sort of kind of hoops you got to jump through.
Yeah, no matter what
to
the breed
qualify.
is, it's quite a challenge. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, no matter what the breed is. And so I had initial doubts that, maybe I won't even be able to be accepted to adopt a dog because of my setup. I live in a flat, don't have a garden. And so those things, that was my initial worry. I was like, I don't know if they'd accept me because I don't have a garden. Obviously I've had dogs, you know, in this flat before, and not having a garden wasn't an issue at all. You just go out and walk it, you know, several times a day. And as long as you're able to get out and walk that dog, that's fine. You know, they live a really good life. So I knew that wouldn't be a challenge for me to have a dog without a garden. But yeah, I doubted that, or maybe that you'd have to jump through a few more hoops to be able to adopt a dog. And so I thought the garden thing would be an issue, and it turns out it wasn't. Some sighthound rescues do require you to have a garden, because the breed itself is an energetic breed. Sighthounds as a generalised are quite energetic. Greyhounds are actually not. They're like super docile. They're like couch potatoes normally. So yeah, like I can't remember where I was going with that.
That's okay. So when you had Luna and she was in the car and you were saying goodbye to the rescue centre, did they then provide you with any sort of aftercare or help or advice or any long-term, you know, if you ever need anything, we're here, let us know? Or was it just see you later?
Yeah, so they did say, you know, like, we're always here. If you need us, drop us an email.
And did you need them after that?
I didn't email them. No, but there were lots of things that happened after adopting Luna that I realised I wasn't totally made aware of at the time of adoption. So I could have at that point reached out to them. I just chose not to, and I just chose to deal with the issues that became apparent myself. But yeah. So there were surprises. Luna, she was nervous, and that's how they described her to me. Just that she was nervous, just a little bit nervous. And so I thought, that's okay. You know, no dramas there. She was actually adopted. She was actually in foster care. Because she wasn't getting on well in kennels. Again, I didn't ask too much about that. I just thought some dogs might not get on in kennels, that's fine. So she went straight into foster care rather than staying in the kennels. Thinking back now, I should have asked a little bit more about, you know, why... why was it that she wasn't able to get on in the kennels? But I didn't. I just sort of accepted. She's a bit nervous. She didn't like the kennels. That's fine, you know. Because I didn't know much about the adoption process or anything like that, or rescuing a dog. I didn't. There were certain things that I didn't question. This is one of them. So we. So she was fostered, and the foster carers had another dog, and they wouldn't have been able to pick up at the time or realise that Luna is a dog that needs a second dog in the household to feel safe. So when I first got her back, things were fine, and then realised that actually she really relied on Freddie, didn't she? And when Freddie wasn't here, she was really... she struggled. You know, she struggled to feel confident to get out on walks on her own and things like that. So that was interesting. And so how many months later was it? So it was June when I adopted her. In December, I found out via the Greyhound group's Instagram page, the adoption group's Instagram page, that Luna actually had what they classed as... What did they class her as? High-end behavioural issues or high-end behavioural needs. And they obviously didn't make that clear at all to me. And but what they were doing December 2 years ago was doing like a sort of a 12 days of, you know, like an advent calendar. So they were doing like 24 days of like positive things at the Greyhound Trust. And her story was split into 2 days. One of the the first part of her story was that she had very high-end behavioural needs. She was incredibly stressed in kennels, and was struggling to manage. And then the second part of that story came out the next day, that she was then eventually adopted by Hazel, me, and da-da-da. So it surprised me, because I was like, okay, at the time of adoption, all I was told was she's a little bit nervous.
Do you think they were withdrawing from telling you the complete truth, or they were just not aware?
I don't know. No, they were aware, because they were saying they
and they just didn't tell you.
They didn't highlight it.
So when you got her home, how did you adapt to her behavioural issues that you're talking about, and what were those behavioural issues? You've mentioned that she benefited from having a second dog in the home, almost like a little security guard to make her feel a bit safer. But what else was there? Was there any eating problems, bathroom issues, sleeping issues? Talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
so initially when she came back, she was very, very nervous, and she would... Now, okay, so this is to be expected, whether they're a nervous dog or not. When you first bring a rescue dog or an adopted dog home, they're in a new environment. They're... everything's been turned on its head. They may have even moved counties. Like, they've got a new handler. So there's so much that's new. And so what they say, especially with greyhounds actually, is that they've never had actually a chance to be a puppy. And they've never actually lived a life of a normal puppy. So they've never interacted with other dogs other than greyhounds. They're more likely than not, they're more likely not toilet trained. And yeah, that was one of the things that I had to overcome with Luna, was that teaching her, okay, toileting doesn't happen inside, it happens outside. So that was like you have to kind of like imagine that they're just adult puppies. And you do that whole training thing with them, you know, like toilet training is outside, show them where the toilet is, you know, and you take it step by step. Another really, really like key thing that I learned with adopting Luna was that when you adopt a dog, when you first bring them home, everything is so new to them. And so, like, starting with training straight away isn't the best thing to do. You should just let them settle for at least, 2 to 3 weeks of just letting them settle and sort of get used to their surroundings and their life, and then from that point, that's when you can start introducing a little bit more like stricter training.
Yeah, because I remember when you first brought her home, she was so nervous.
Yeah, she was panting, wasn't
she was terrified of me.
Yeah, she was spinning in circles.
At any point would you be able to reinforce any sort of training?
Yeah.
You couldn't.
You can't expect...
I couldn't come in the room without her weeping. Do you remember? She would cry.
She'd cower.
She was absolutely terrified. Yeah. And it was really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, she was, proper terrified. So that's something I really, I went really slowly and at her pace.
Yeah.
And...
so the next thing I was going to ask you is, how did you help her?
Yeah.
And you've answered that by saying you gave her 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more, couldn't give an exact time frame, just to settle down.
Yeah.
Just to try and become comfortable with her new surroundings. Was there anything else that you did for her after that period when she did settle down? What did exercise look like? What did playing look like? How did that develop?
It was really sweet, because again, as greyhounds, they, they're not sort of, they're not used to playing, right? They don't know what like an abundance of toys are and stuff. So initially, the toys were just there, and she never touched them. She never played with them. And then just one day, she was like, she just went over to the toy box and started playing, and it was a really special moment. It was like, she's playing, like she's starting to feel comfortable, and she's starting to be, a dog, and just relax. So that was really sweet and a very special moment. But in terms of how I helped her through with her behavioural issues, and so I did a lot of kind of like focus training. So like
and was it indoors or outdoors?
So a mixture. So like initially it was indoors, just to get her, get that bond between us. So sort of like getting eye contact, and getting her used to just looking at me and building that trust. So I did it by sort of things like that, and also like grooming and things like that, because that's really good to like help with building that bond. So she really likes to be brushed. And
what was she like outside? Talk to me about exercise and walking. Is it on lead, off lead? Did you go near dogs, people?
Yes.
Did you intentionally walk places that were quiet, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so where I live is fairly quiet. So you don't, there's not lots of cars like on it. You don't like sort of walk out onto the main roads, which is great. It was a bit of a mixture, like between busy days and quiet days. I very quickly realised that she was really nervous when there were like people and dogs walking behind us.
Vehicles too?
Yes, vehicles too, but mainly her. I initially realised that her main thing was humans and dogs approaching her from whatever way, really. But if they were coming from behind us or coming ahead of us, she would lose her mind. She was really, really scared. So it was initially about, like trying to find times and locations that were a little bit quieter, especially in that like initial stage of letting her settle in. I remember like we used to go on walks in the nighttime, and things like that, because and initially she wasn't great with small dogs, which is really funny. Not funny, but really interesting. She was quite, whether it was out of fear or just in her blood, like...
that looks like fun.
That looks like a rabbit or something. Yeah, it was always small dogs, anything that moved fast. She would actually go to nip it.
Yeah.
So yeah, initially, she was muzzled on certain walks, especially if I knew that, like, it'd be busy.
And that was just to be on the safe side,
On the
wasn't it?
safe side,
Because this
yeah.
was still the early days. You're still
So
getting to
early.
know her,
So
her
early.
personality, what she's like. So a muzzle just to be safe.
Just to be safe for all parties.
Yeah.
So that was that. And then it probably took about maybe, like, quite quickly the muzzle came off. But I would still put it on occasionally when it was busy. And then, yeah, just over time she just got more and more exposure to small dogs.
Yeah.
And she let her guard down. She was happy with them. In fact, now she plays really well with them, and I don't muzzle her, not once. So yeah, it's not like you have to muzzle a dog forever. It's just like a tiny little precaution just in case while everyone settles in.
Yeah.
And gets to know each other.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right.
Hello.
So fast forwarding
Yeah.
up to today's date.
Yeah.
What does a typical day in the life of Luna look like? What's the process? You wake up, what next?
Yeah. So wake up. She's funny. She wakes up, and then she comes in for a bum scratch, and then she comes into the bedroom for a bum scratch, and then she wants tucking back in to her bed. Come on in.
Just to be clear, this is not Luna,
This is not Luna. This is Isla,
who's a whippet.
her support dog.
Come on then. Are you joining us or not?
She's got camera shy.
Right. Right.
Oh no.
Come here. Are we going to settle?
I think so.
She just wants the microphone. Anything to say? Anything to add? Just a kiss. So yeah, we just took a little pit stop there, didn't we? But the question was, what does a typical day in the life of Luna look like? You wake up in the morning, what happens next?
Yeah, wake up in the morning, she comes into the bedroom, she wants a bum scratch, and then she wants tucking back into her bed.
Right.
So I get up, tuck her back into her bed, and she probably goes back to sleep for about half an hour, which is just enough time for a coffee. Fantastic news.
Her to have a coffee or you having a coffee?
Me to have the coffee.
Right.
No, we must not feed dogs coffee. So yeah, like, and then okay, after the coffee, we will go for our morning walk, and she does lots of wheeze and pews, and then comes back. She has her breakfast, and then she is good. Like, she sleeps. She goes to bed. She goes back to bed. They are literally so sleepy. She goes back to bed, and then she's good until like maybe 2 o'clock, or between 2 and 4 we go for another afternoon walk. And then she comes back, she rests again. She might have a little play with some toys, but mainly rests. She takes her retired life very seriously.
Absolutely. It doesn't sound like a very challenging day for you then. It's not exactly very strenuous.
No.
She's not that needy, doesn't require much.
No, she doesn't require much. She's not needy, she doesn't require much. She's really happy just hanging out. She always wants to be in the same room. Or similar room. Yeah, she does. Similar room. Yeah, she does want to be in the same room, usually. But actually, equally, she is quite happy to just take herself off to her favourite big bed. It is ginormous, her bed. And she is, like, let's say if we were all hanging out in the bedroom or something, watching something on the telly or playing some video games or whatever, sometimes she's quite happy to just leave us all to it, and she'll take herself off to the bed, her bed, and chill out in there quite happily. So she's a very like easy dog. And she just loves to sleep, which is excellent news. So anyway, after the afternoon walk and more rest, she will then have her dinner at 5-ish. Sometimes it's a bit later. Between 5 and 7 she'll have her dinner. And then her evening walk will be about sort of 9-10 p.m.
And that'll be it for the rest of the night?
And that'll be it for the rest of the night, yeah.
Okay.
So really, she just lives for the food and the rest. Yeah, she loves to eat and sleep.
And in your time of owning Luna, I really struggle calling her Luna, because we always call her Luna, because she's a Looney Tune. She's not crazy.
No.
But she's just got this goofy personality, which is so funny.
It's so endearing. She's a real goofball. Like, she's got this lazy tongue that just occasionally will just pop out, and then...
And it will stay there.
It will just stay there.
Yeah.
Like, we'll probably put a few pictures up for you guys to enjoy.
So during your time of owning Luna, what has been the most rewarding part of the entire process? And that could be from the start, it could be something that happened recently. Is there anything that stands out to you as being super rewarding?
Oh, yeah, like the whole process is so rewarding. Like it's probably my favourite part about adopting Luna is seeing the journey she went on to being so closed up and so nervous. It was really actually quite upsetting. It was like heartbreaking watching how scared she was with absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Even drawing the curtains, she was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, oh my God, like panicking.
Yeah.
Have a friend over, and she would be like, she'd run away to the furthest corner and hide and cower. Even just seeing, how she opened up with you. Like initially she was so scared, especially of men.
I'll be honest with you, and this video isn't about me, but when I saw for the first time how nervous she was with me, I didn't think there would ever be a point where she wouldn't be scared of me, because it was so bad.
It was so bad. So I think ultimately, watching that journey with her open up with you, and her whole journey as a whole, going for... I mean, she's still nervous now. I'm not going to lie. She's still a bit nervous now. She's got her things. But she is nowhere near, she's come so far, and that is so rewarding, knowing that you've been part of that journey to help her sort of flourish and thrive and grow into this beautiful, adorable dog that just needed someone to take a chance on her, because she'd had a lot of interest being a young dog initially. But because she was so nervous and worried about men, and when people met her, she was like this kind of retiring wallflower, is that the saying?
Never heard it, but it works.
Like a really kind of, even when we went to the kennels and they were all in a kennel together, a big kennel together. And all the dogs came to the front, didn't they, to greet us? And then she was just at the back, really scared, head down.
Yeah.
So, going on a tangent again. Sorry. But yeah, I think ultimately, she just needed... She had so much love to give.
She needed a chance, didn't she?
She needed a chance. She needed someone to take a chance on her. And I just get emotional thinking about it.
And as beautiful as her whole journey has been,
it's not been without challenges.
This can be a yes or no answer. Was there any point where you thought, oh no, what have I done?
Oh yes, initially, when all of these sort of behavioural issues were sort of coming to a head, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, have I made the right decision? Like, I definitely...
Big dog, nervous dog,
Very
not
nervous.
potty trained.
Not potty trained. Like, all of this, yes, absolutely. I went through these sort of thoughts in my head thinking, oh my gosh, have I made the right decision? Is she, you know, is she in the right place? You know, and all of these things went through my head. But I'm very much a, like, when it comes to challenges and things like that, like, I welcome them, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna just give her back. Like, I could have easily given her back. I could have done that, and I didn't want to. I wanted to work through it all, and I wanted to give her a chance, because what I hate most is reading stories like people adopting dogs without much thought, and then immediately giving them back without giving them any chance to settle in. And it's stressful for the dog. It's stressful, and I didn't want to put her through that, so I just wanted to try my absolute best to help her fit in and help her open up and help her feel safe. And yeah, like, that was challenging at times, but we got through it, and she's
And there she is.
She is so relaxed and happy. She leads a good life.
Yeah, she does. And based on your time together, is there one singular memory that you have with her together that really stands out? I have one.
Wow, that's a big question.
Do you want me to tell you mine?
Yeah, tell me yours.
The first day you took her off a lead and she bolted across the field.
My goodness,
Talk about that.
Oh my gosh. So the first day,
Hengistbury Head.
yeah, we were at Hengistbury Head, and the first day I took her off the lead.
We've got it on video somewhere still.
We have got it on video.
Yeah.
It's actually a really amazing video, because it's just, wow. It's just incredible. But let her off the lead, and I was like, instantly like, what if she doesn't come back? Like, oh my gosh.
She didn't know her name at the time.
No.
She didn't really know who anyone was.
It was definitely a risk, like, that probably, like, in hindsight, should not have made. But turns out she was really good.
She was awesome.
She was amazing. Yeah, took her off. She pelted it off into the distance to go and say hello to a couple of...
we're talking, just to give context, about 100 metres away.
Yeah.
Length of a football pitch.
No
it was a long way away.
She pelted, and we were just like, uh-oh. And she did her thing. She just did her thing. She said hello to, like, a couple of off-lead dogs.
Yeah.
And then she pelted back, like, and then got freaked out because there was a little bird, like, flying, and it was in the grass, and she ran past it, and the bird, like, started flying, and she would just, she got freaked out
spooked.
by it. Yeah, she got spooked and came straight back.
Yeah.
And so that, like, to me was like, okay, she knows her home.
Yeah.
She knows, she knows her people.
Yeah, she knows where she gets fed.
Yeah. And
so that was my
really,
memory. Do you have
really
one
sweet.
that stands out aside from that?
Cool. There's been many, but I think probably, like, the first time we went through a lot, and, to the point where she didn't want to walk on her own. Like, she needed another dog. If not, like, the more the merrier, right? And so with Luna, a whole troop is great for her. But I think one of the most standout moments for me was, like, when she eventually decided she felt brave enough to go for a walk on her own, just me and her. And that was really sweet. It was a really cold, bitter winter. It was probably like February of 2023. And it was so cold, and I thought, right, she's just gonna want to like go for a quick wee, as always. Like, she doesn't want to go for very far when it's just me and her. So that was it. I didn't have my gloves on. I didn't put my big coat on. I just had my hoodie, and I was just like, we're gonna do a quick wee walk. That's it. And she decided she wanted to walk further and further still. And I thought, bloody hell, that's great. I hadn't even locked the door. Like, I was like, oh no. But she wanted to keep walking. And we went all the way across the road. We went all across the cliff top and down to the beach, all on her own, me and her. And that was incredible. Like, I took loads of videos of her, like, just out and about, like, and it was nighttime too, so it was a little bit like, shouldn't really be out this late, like, on our own, but she was doing it, and I just thought, no, I was freezing, but I was so proud of her, and she was making these big, brave moves, so I was like, yes, just keep going. And so that was a really big standout moment for me. It took months to get to that point. I mean, like, I rescued her in June 22, and that moment was February 23, and it took.
So yeah,
all
that's
that
something
time for her
for
to open up and get
people
out.
watching this video to bear in mind, is that you're not going to rescue a greyhound and then go on nice big walks. There's more often than not going to be a process.
Oh yeah.
Of settle the dog down, start from the ground up. The dog's going to get spooked by who knows what, because you don't know what they've been through. It could be a wheelie bin, it could be a little bird, it could be absolutely anything. So it's not like you're going to rescue a greyhound and everything's going to be happy ever after. It's a challenge, right?
Yeah, it can be a challenge, yes.
So with that being said,
Yes.
if there's somebody watching this video right now who's considering rescuing a greyhound, what advice can you give them? Whether it's a point of advice or multiple points, what is it? Are there any standout things that if I was sat here in front of you now and I said to you, I want to rescue a greyhound, what would you advise?
Definitely. So do a lot of research about the breed initially, whether that's via YouTube videos. I did lots of research on I watched lots of YouTube videos. I read lots and lots of blogs. That's like my favourite way to consume content is blogs. But YouTube videos were fantastic. I remember Googling greyhounds and the breed, and then just playing a video whilst eating like my dinner, just to learn as much as I could about the breed initially. So I definitely recommend that, whatever breed you're looking for, but for greyhounds specifically, that's what I would do. What else? I would actually collate a list of questions that you have when you go to view these dogs, and you go and have a sit down like interview. Treat it as much as an interview for them, like for you, like they're interviewing you to see if you're competent, but there are so many questions that I did not ask them. And had I sat down and actually had a think about, more about, what questions do I have about rescuing a greyhound? Tell me a little bit more about Luna. Like, why is she just nervous, or is she, is there actual behavioural issues there, like needs, like severe needs? So, and all of this, like, definitely sit down and write a list of questions and think about what it is that you don't know. Like, after all of your research and things like that, there's always going to be holes, isn't there? Like, you're not going to know everything walking into these things. So think about those gaps in your knowledge, whether that's for the specific dog or that you're going to meet, or the breed as itself, like as a whole. And get those questions down and on a piece of paper if you have to. So that when you go in, ask them,
Yeah, go in with
ask them,
a prepared mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Any more advice? Take it slow. They are all different at the end of the day. Like, breeds have like specifics about them and quirks that tend to be breed specific, but actually like they all have so many different personalities and needs and wants and have had different backgrounds even. So you treat each dog as its own dog, you know, like each dog will have different, you know, greyhounds and sighthounds as a whole are known for their prey drive, but, you know, between the three we have here, we've got...
They're all different.
They're all so different, yeah. Luna is less prey-driven. Luna is less prey-driven than my Whippet. Isla is like super prey-driven. And Freddie kind of sits somewhere in between the two of them. And so, yes, they've all got it in them. Oh my gosh, like if they, you know, she sees a squirrel, she'll be, you know, wanting to go for it. But they all have their different, it's definitely, you know, dog specific, yeah.
Yeah, so don't go to a greyhound rescue and think they're all greyhounds, they're all the same.
No.
Which colour do I like? Do I want a boy or a girl?
No.
And that's job done.
Yeah, definitely personality is a big one. And the dog itself, look at the dog itself and ask lots of questions about that dog and, you know, if it really is going to sit well with your lifestyle. Yeah.
Cool. All right, so guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Hope it brought some value to you. If you do have any more questions about this particular topic, then feel free to get involved in the comment box below, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.